Hey, welcome to the nap. Welcome to the pre-show, where I just show a bunch of videos from prior stuff that we've made as we get ready to get into the actual show at half past. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll get into a regular intro after our regular intro at 1:30. So let's play an intro from the 3rd of November, uh, 2025. A little blast from the past. Let's see if we can get this going right here. One, there we go.
They're too focused on cutting checks to bumbling bureaucrats. They don't care about rising debt and inflationary deficits so long as the money keeps flowing to the liberal elites. When will this Prime Minister stop using tax dollars to reward his friends?
If the Conservatives want the truth, we'll tell them the truth.
Yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaking.
Now, from this point on, the videos are sort of very similar. They've been pasted together bit by bit, starting in the fall last year with the start of the fall session. All these intro videos have all been posted under their own playlist, and each day with the nap comes a new video with a slightly new intro for the first 15 seconds, and then usually something added at the end of it. I know most people don't watch videos until the end, so they don't get to really know. Actually, all my videos have something added at the end. Not really an Easter egg, just some production value that nobody ever gets to see because most people don't watch videos till the end. It's just a little surprise in there. But some of these videos, some people get added, some people get taken out. Some of the voices in the background that you hear, you'll hear, of course, the Liberals being Liberals, and the Conservatives usually making a point or asking a question that doesn't get asked. And I think Kevin Lemuel, his voice is there in the background somewhere along the way. And of course, his face has just been added to the intros this week, which you'll see at half past the hour. So let's see if we can get into this thing here and just slide over to closer to the end. And see, they're all kind of the same. And then always the gaslighting with these guys. All right, let's start the video.
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
Out of control spending on consultants. Last year alone, over $20 billion on well-connected liberal insiders getting contracts. And this year, I think the number said that it's going to go as high as $25 billion. Why won't they put Canadians first? Instead of asking young people to make sacrifices, why won't they cut out their well-connected friends, put Canadians first, and deliver a budget that Canadians can actually afford?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Okay.
Pause this one here. There we go. I'll just get over into. There we go. Let's get our list of our bills up. Now, these are all the bills that were introduced in the fall. There's some have been added. It's like, let me get my face out of the way here. There we go. C2 sitting on the shelf, gathering dust, because there's some parts in here that have been removed and put into Bill C14, which is not on the list because that's been recently introduced. But you can see all these bills that have been introduced to try to uniform Foxtrot, what the Liberals have done to Canada since 2015, like making life more affordable for Canadians. Seriously, why do we need an act to make life more affordable? Is it because life has become less affordable? Was this a problem before 2015? Well, before 2015, life was less affordable for a lot of people, but not as many as it is today. Right? The middle class has been completely poured out. We've got Artificial Intelligence and Data Act and National Amendments Act. So all these acts, right, you have to go through them and you find these little poison pills that always end up giving more power to the Liberals that they don't need. And when they're brought into committee to ask why do you need all these powers? Well, they can't give you an answer. Well, because get things done quicker, because they've only had like 11 years not to get stuff done. So let's watch the most important part of this dependency, debility, and dread video, which is describing how the first 20 of the 45 communist goals have been adapted by cultural Marxism and other nefarious entities into controlling the masses by using, well, their own ideology, their own philosophy, and especially by making some people feel like they should change their behavior because, they're oppressing other people. That whole dichotomy of always an oppressor and a victim, and you're one or the other. Or you are the adjudicator, which is the liberals see themselves as. So let's get into this video. show. Thanks for hanging out. And let's cue up the next video.
Mr. Speaker, there's a little thing called cause and effect. And the cause that the leader of the opposition is missing.
Since you took office, 86,000 more Canadians are unemployed, and we have the second highest unemployment in the G7. This is all the result of out-of-control government spending and taxes. Every dollar the Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadians, and now the Parliamentary Budget Officer rates his deficits as, quote, very alarming, stupefying, shocking, unsustainable. If you don't change, this is done. Something is going to break. We are at the edge of a cliff. Those are the words of the Parliamentary Budget Officer. When will he stop his out-of-control spending? When he's over the edge of the cliff?
Here. Mr. Speaker, there's a little thing called cause and effect. And the cause that the leader of the opposition is missing is the U.S. tariffs. The U.S. tariffs that are hitting steel, the U.S. tariffs that are hitting lumber, the U.S. tariffs that are hitting our auto sector. That's why we need to build this country strong. That's why we're getting spending under control. That's why we're going to spend less to invest more. I believe in this country, Mr. Speaker.
And it goes against the entire narrative of Carney that he is the man with a plan. That's why he told Canadians, and it's why he won this last election. They believed he had a plan. And in fact, he used it as an attack point. You know, a plan beats no plan. He has no plan now. He doesn't have a fiscal plan. Now he was elected leader of the party in March. You know, he could have given direction even before the election on what he wants his budget to look like. He had a costed platform. Why is there no budget? I find it absolutely mind-boggling that they're doing this. They're not giving anything, any kind of a statement.
But what about if it was like? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around this too, right? You know, when you guys won government in 2006 with Harper, he was sworn in early February. Budget came in May. So if you give like a financial update now and a budget in September, you know what I mean? But it doesn't even seem like there's going to be a budget at all. It's going to be an economic state. A feds, your favorite thing.
Right. So look, the Liberals have always been trying to figure out how to budgets balance themselves. Just don't have a budget balance. Look at that.
Right.
No, it's absurd. And even going to September, I think, is not acceptable. You look at the 2006 when Harper came in. That was a whole transformed government.
I get it.
And they had a number of months to do it, and they did it. Carney became leader of the party in March. He was prime minister in March. He could have started giving direction, and he just had a fully costed platform. Former, again, central banker, Mr. Finance guy, worked at the Department of Finance, knows the ins and outs of that department. He was one of the guys that helped us do our budget in 2008 when we did it. So it just makes no sense to me. In 2011, we had an election, and a few weeks later, we brought in the budget. That was the same government, same prime minister, but it makes no sense, and it goes against the entire narrative that he set up, that he was the man.
After saying last month it would remove all counter tariffs on U.S. goods covered under CUSMA, new reporting from the CBC has found out that the Liberal government quietly dropped more of those tariffs than advertised. The CBC's Kate McKenna broke the story, and she joins me now. So, Kate, walk us through what you found out here.
Well, David, we all remember last month when Mark Carney announced that the government was going to be dropping some retaliatory tariffs in order to kind of push ahead with trade negotiations with the United States. So at the time, the Prime Minister said that he was essentially going to be matching what the United States was doing to us, which is to say counter tariffs were going to be dropped on CUSMA-compliant goods.
Right.
So goods that were compliant with the existing free trade agreement, implying that if a good wasn't compliant with CUSMA, then it would be tariffed. Take a listen to what he said at the time.
The Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA.
Now, almost a month later, we've learned that's actually not what happened. Canada has removed all counter tariffs, regardless of whether a good was CUSMA compliant, except for, of course, the sectoral tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto. And they never actually communicated that to the public. We found it by reading an order in council, which was never publicized and required me to ask a number of questions from the government. So this was not something that they ever told the public. Now, there might be good reasons for why the government did it. I spoke with a couple of trade lawyers who told me that it would have been extremely costly to enforce. It would have required hiring more people at the border. The amount of money, that revenue that was generated probably would have been almost negligible because most goods, if you do the paperwork, are CUSMA compliant, right? So one trade lawyer I spoke with said that, this was admirable bureaucratic restraint. However, it's not what the government said that they were doing. It's not what Mark Carney said he was going to do. And the reality of it is they implied that Canada and the U.S. were doing the same things to each other, and in reality, that's not actually what happened. So we heard from Pierre Poilievre today. He posted on social media saying this is another elbows down lie. Now, in a statement, the finance minister's office says they do what they do because they want to adapt their trade policy, both to get a new deal done and also to help Canadians the best that they can.
Right. That was the argument, though, for dropping the CUSMA-compliant tariffs. There's been no broader explanation on the balance there, right? Because he says matching, but it's 25% on steel and aluminum versus 50%. But the explanation for why they dropped the non-CUSMA-compliant goods from tariffs is just to advance trade. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. They told me they told me that it's true what we're reporting, but they didn't go into detail as to why in their response to me.
Okay, all right. Kate McKenna, the CBC's Kate McKenna with that exclusive reporting. Thanks so much.
Deficit spending is up almost 100% since this prime minister took office. And as for investment, it has fallen. In fact, $50 billion of net investment has left since he took office. And yet he repeats the same promises the Liberals have been making for a decade. They said their deficits would lead to more investment. Since they took office, investment is down by 10%, the worst investment record in the G7. In fact, with $600 billion more debt under this government, investment has fallen. How much more debt would they have to add on the backs of Canadians to reverse this disastrous result?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, once again, it's time for a little fiscal lesson for the Leader of the Opposition. Strongest credit rating in the world, AAA, S&P, and Moody's. Lowest deficit in the G7. Lowest debt level in the G7. Lowest debt to net debt to GDP in the G7. Biggest potential in the G7. This side of the House believes in Canada. Come join us.
Highest household debt.
Well, it would appear to me that really they're just, cooked in the books.
How big is the deficit that the Prime Minister is running?
Mr. Speaker, looking forward with the Minister of Finance to releasing the budget on the 4th of November. That budget will contain the biggest investment in this country's future in a generation.
The top top financial watchdog in the country says there's only one bottom line, and we'll trust the PBO's word over 10 years of Liberal deficits any day, Mr. Speaker. And with this plan to split the budget, it's as if the Prime Minister has forgotten that they're all linked to the same bank account, and there's really only one taxpayer. So with the deficit set to double, let's just call a spade a spade. Will the Prime Minister admit he's really just cooking the books and hoping Canadians don't notice?
We're going to spend less so we can invest more, Mr. Speaker.
Admit he's really just cooking the books.
Sure, good news with this House, Mr. Speaker.
I know many things. I know many things. And one of the things I know, the member opposite, the leader of the opposition, just mentioned interest rates. One thing I know is that Canadian interest rates are much lower than American interest rates. They're lower because this country's fiscal situation is strong, because this government has a plan to grow this economy, and we will keep doing it.
Speaker, the collapsing economy is bringing down interest rates, but the financial expert doesn't even know what his own deficit is. But another financial expert spoke yesterday. The parliamentary budget officer said the deficit will absolutely be higher because of additional spending. He said he doesn't know what the government's fiscal anchors are because they do not exist.
He's really just cooking the books.
He says the labor market sucks and wages are not going up. These are quotes. Is this why Liberal members on the committee who heard those truth bombs threatened that the Prime Minister would fire the parliamentary budget officer after 166 days?
He's really just cooking the books.
I don't recognize...
He's really just cooking the books.
I don't recognize that, Mr. Speaker. I don't recognize that characterization. I just appointed the parliamentary budget officer, and this government does have fiscal anchors. This government has fiscal anchors. We are going to spend less so the country can invest more.
He's really just cooking the books.
We are going to balance the operational budget in 3 years. We are going to have a declining level of debt, and we're going to do all of that because we're building the strongest economy in the G7 for Canadian families.
He's really just cooking the books.
The Prime Minister made the appointment of the parliamentary budget officer temporary so that he could hold a sword over his head and threaten him if he speaks the truth about the financial mess the Prime Minister has made.
Really just cooking the books.
You know, to a government that doesn't know how to count, there is nothing more terrifying than a man armed with a calculator.
He's really just cooking the books.
We're going to present a great budget in this House on the 4th of November, Mr. Speaker. This is going to be a generational investment in our future.
He's really just cooking the books.
We're going to build this country, Mr. Speaker. We're going to protect our communities. We're going to empower Canadians. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're going to build this country like never before. We're going to build the Canada of the 21st century. Mr. Speaker, we are the true north, strong and free.
He's really just cooking the books.
So I just finished a Finance Committee meeting, a meeting that we've been waiting for the entire summer. It was a 1-hour meeting, but to my surprise, the Liberal chair broke the rules and adjourned the meeting, ended the meeting suddenly, and walked away. We were trying to move a motion to bring the Minister of Finance into committee to speak about the precarious situation that we have here. We have no transparency, there's no budget. The parliamentary budget officer has said that this Liberal government has no fiscal anchor, has no guardrails. We have no idea what's going to be happening. All we know is that there are spending announcements. The deficit is supposed to be close to $100 billion. And yet, this Liberal government, the Liberal chair, has ended the meeting suddenly and walked away knowing that she was breaking the rules.
He's really just cooking the books.
I have even more good news for the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker. On November 4th, we will be presenting a budget with generational investment, Mr. Speaker, that is going to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7. We will invest in our people. We're going to build this country. We're going to empower Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong, and we're going to do it with all Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member.
He's really just cooking the books. And
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lesson from the Conservatives. No lessons from the conservative on this side of the aisle and all Canadians, we believe in this country, Mr. Speaker. Canada is the place where we attract talent. Canada is the place where we build ships, we build cars, we build planes. Canada is the place where we have critical minerals. Canada is the place where we have energy. Canada is the only country in the G7 with a free trade with all other G7 nations, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong. We are the true north, strong and free, Mr. Speaker.
Holy crap, did that guy ever lay it on thick, eh? All right, let's get on with the show. And we got everything lined up. So let's get rid of you cooking the bucks. Let's start this show.
Believing the Liberals are helping Canadians is as ridiculous as believing the budget will balance itself.
Simple answer, move on, man, move on, you know. That's, you know, honestly.
Over 2 million people a month to the food banks. I guess they should just move on from that. If the Conservatives want the truth, we'll tell them the truth.
Speech yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out because they saw the ambition in that speech. And not only did they see it in that speech today, as the Prime Minister stood with the Premier investing in new nuclear to ensure the jobs of today and the future, they know that the youth...
The only thing that's revolting are those answers.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these Conservatives. Trust me on that.
The Minister didn't write the Prime Minister's speech yesterday because it wouldn't have bored and depressed to tears.
It's really hard to follow, isn't it, Mr. Speaker?
All of those poor students stuck in that room. There he spoke about how they would have to sacrifice more and that it would take time to reverse all of the misery that is built up over the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, young people want to have homes. They want to have jobs. They want to have hope. They want a budget that is affordable so they can have a life that is affordable. Will the Prime Minister introduce that budget so that Canadians can restore the promise of their country?
And we decide what comes next.
Know that this government has their back and we will continue to do this. Forward, there's going to be a powerful statement for the young people of Canada.
Deficits are driving inflation. The more Liberals spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. 25% of Canadians are using food banks because they can't afford to eat. So when will the Prime Minister finally get his inflationary deficits under control so Canadians can put food on the table?
Mr. Speaker, Conservative members pretend to care about food insecurity, but then they call feeding children garbage.
Mr. Speaker, what's garbage was that answer?
Did the Prime Minister see the ad before it went out?
Hey, of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government.
Being serious means being honest.
Mr. Speaker, the grand reveal has been made.
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
Move on, man, move on.
Sets us up well for the new world order.
I have a simple answer, move on, man, move on, you know. That's, you know, honestly, change the cubic card. I can give you some...
Liberals keep telling Canadians that they've never had it so good. Well, not only has food inflation doubled since this Prime Minister took office, it's now twice as high in Canada as it is in the United States. It's driving over 2 million people a month to the food banks. I guess they should just move on from that.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
Welcome to the nap. Just making sure I have my mic on. The no answer period, where we cover the question period, prefaced by review of the far left evil that has beset our land and the events that surround it. The nap precedes question period by 45 minutes, and we will cover the lower house until the government decides to stop showing up. And we also keep score. The score is described in the description below. We are streaming on 3 platforms, Rumble, X, and YouTube. I'd like to thank my followers and subscribers for doing so. And if you're new, please give us a like, thumbs up, follow, share, subscribe. Most of all, the chat is up, so please feel free to ask anything. And comments drive the algorithm when I'm not driving it down with my forbidden words. Well, speaking of the House not showing up, before we get on with anything, let's have a look here at Parlview and look at all the committee meetings that have been canceled. Now, it's Wednesday, so the House doesn't sit until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, they usually sit earlier in the day. And Wednesday, they have a late start. Fridays, they have an earlier start with the lower house sitting for a question period. And insofar, it looks like, okay, so the House is not started. And where's our where's the question period this week? Looking down here, well, that's the House for tomorrow. Now maybe they'll start up the separate broadcast stream window for the question period at that time. But it seems to me that perhaps they might be canceling all these meetings because of what has happened, West. Before we touch on that, let's get our basic administration out of the way. First of all, which is thank you all for coming. We have several channels, of course. We're on Rumble, YouTube, and of course X over here, which we usually post today's intro, or if we're having an intro this day, we'll usually post it up here. And of course, articles on X are also the platforms I've been using to put up the videos, the same videos that are going up on Rumble and YouTube in regards to the parliamentary playlist. So Occam's razor, no answer period videos, or parliamentary specific videos like crazy Kevin Lamoureux losing his mind there last week, stuff like that. Now, of course, here's our order paper, and every day there is a new order paper put together by the committee, by the House leader, Liberal House leader. Well, in this case, it's the Liberal House leader because he's parliamentary House leader, which is appointed by the government in-house, which are the Liberals. And this is Steve McKinnon, and he has a staff, and they put together all the questions that are asked by the parliaments, whether it's in question period where you never get an answer, and of course in actual order of business during the day outside of question period. So if they pose questions there, they expect to get an answer. This is where it'll be tracked. Same thing within committees, so you can find out where all that information is coming. So that's why all the questions that related to vaccine harms, injuries, if that was staffed anywhere in there, well, that's gone now because Carney, our prime minister, decided to put an order in council saying, oh, we're just going to hide all that information 15 years. There we go, signed. And of course, we always like to remind everyone the Qualified Canadian Journalism Organization is a tax subsidy given to mainstream media, special medias that are selected by the Liberal Party to get money. That's 27 to 30 grand per employee of that organization, funded by your tax dollars, to provide you the propaganda from the Liberals and basically repeat what the Liberals say. Well, what they tell them to say, because other stuff that independent news agencies have to dig up and broadcast, well, the mainstreams will not cover it, such as when they released information that over 10,000 Canadians were actually harmed and or killed by the COVID-19 vaccine. That's their statement, not mine. Right, so if they're actually admitting to that, we know it's probably worse, which is probably why they went and hid all those documents all that time. Now, some weird stuff's been going on. I see here that, okay, so this is the third time this has happened. We've gotten this notification on X, platform manipulation, yeah, which seemed to happen about immediately after I posted a video. Not posted a video, or did I? Anyways, yeah, I did. I posted a video, and of course tagged a member of Parliament on it because it was about him. And next now, boom! Oh, platform manipulation. Wonder if that has anything to do with the algorithmic manipulation by the CRTC. Well, maybe we'll get into that later. But of course, it's all run by an AI, right? So the AI just scans the stuff, and then it arbitrarily gets these results. Now, I don't know if there's any stimulation to the AI from the outside. We don't know. because we have no way of appealing or asking. Like this guy here had been working on his channel and he explains it all right. But the AI went and actually shut down his channel. And it was like, what the hell? And it was just an arbitrary AI decision. So what's going on? Of course, and when was this? Oh yeah, this was September. So I don't know, X is continually tweaked. So let's get on with the story of the day. Yes, of course, school shooting in BC's Tumbler Ridge leaves 10 dead, including a transgender gun person. Are you kidding me? A lot of posts on this by a lot of different people. Here's Billboard Chris. He was taking SSRIs, antipsychotics, mushrooms, which cause psychosis, DMT, and smoking weed. He was also taking estrogen. A deeply troubled young man, and to make things worse, people affirmed he was a girl. Adding to his, our medical authorities are forced to affirm this delusion or, oh, is this going to expand? Oh, yes. Let's wait for this to come up. Expedite, come in. There we go. Oh, it was almost done. Our medical authorities are forced to affirm this delusion or they will lose their job. There we go, right? Liberals have mandated that you treat these people as if they are sane. Because in the past, we used to actually treat these people as if they had an issue that could be perhaps, I don't know, discussed for them to deal with and understand. That who knows, it might be a phase, but anyway, yeah. And that's where it's gotten to the point. How do you think we end up with tampon dispensers in the men's room in military institutions? How did we get there? We got there because of laws put in by the liberals who say that you have to accept these people as if they're normal. And if you don't, if you question it, we're coming after you. We're going to make you lose your job. We're going to count you as social pariahs. Oh, and when we get our hate legislation through, we're going to cancel you big time. Yeah, we're going to, as a minister, they can come in and go, oh, that person's being hateful. We can't have that gender questioning stuff that's against our legislation being discussed in protests on those websites or on those channels. No, shut that person down. Take away his internet. Shut him down. And then, of course, when they do that, because that's a law that's actually in a bill that they want to give a minister. Once they do that, if you get on the internet or if you vocally say or say anything to anyone that the government did that to you, they could put you in jail. Are we in North Korea? Are we getting there yet? Are we getting there yet? Nope, that's not the video I wanted to play next. This is the one I wanted to play next. Just the beginning of Clyde.
The fact that this officer was more worried about misgendering the shooter than giving comfort to the families of the victims tells you everything you need to know about the current state of Canada.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the
gun person? What the is a gun person? This is what Kirk Lubermoff asked on X. It says that's how the police described the Tumbler Ridge shooter. 10 no longer with us, including the shooter, 25 injured. It took hours for this info to even come out in regards to the shooting, and now this. Real Talk Politics also commenting on this, saying this is the current state of Canada. A deranged trans dude kills 9 children in a school in BC, and the cops are worried about misgendering the killer. When families are grieving, the priority should be justice. This is shameful. This is
Yeah, it's mandated craziness. Again, mandated craziness by the liberals because we were not here in 2015. 11 years ago, we were not this cuckoo in a head, Canada. Things were not that crazy back then. Now let's go back to the Blazing Catford. Right? So he was taking SSRIs. Dr. Michael Savage, very well-known personality on radio and TV, and used to have a show, and he still does a lot of podcasts and is very well. He's a doctor for a reason because he's an actual doctor. Anyway, he's talked about how SSRIs are very dangerous and have led to a lot of people going out on violent sprees. Now, especially now, I guess if you mix it with other stuff, it's probably even worse. But these are known dangers, right? known risks. The risk-benefit analysis that never seems to be done whenever you start putting drugs into people, right? Things that are of a foreign substance into the body. There has to be a risk-benefit analysis for this. Breaking. The identity of the Tumbler Ridge shooter can now be confirmed as Jess Strang. Strang is a biological male who started to identify as a girl around 2023, according to Redux here. Strang was raised in a family that valued hunting. Began learning how to shoot rifles when he was, and let's go further into that if you want to see it. And there's the gun person video, and of course, locals from Tumbler Ridge, at least 2 individuals, are claiming that the shooter was trans-identified male. This by Amy Eileen Ham. So, next video I wanted on this, yes, right here. So let's listen to the Prime Minister.
It's obviously a very difficult day for the nation. This morning, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world.
Now he's obviously very, very shaken about this. Carney's not a politician. He has no poker face. Many people watching him have noticed how all his micro expressions, he has no control over them whatsoever. He always pretty well gives away the plot with his facial features, right? He can't get anything past us because he doesn't know how to lie. So these expressions that he's giving right now are very genuine. But I'm wondering if he's actually inside very terrified right now of his own daughter, right? Who's a graduate of Tavistock, the transgender facility that changed the sex of his child, who's now an adult, right? And I wonder if he's wondering in his head how all that chemical mixture is going to be treating his child, his adult child. I wonder if he's feeling that right now. I wonder if he's had all that fear going through his brain, which is why he's actually reacting this way. Because you know what? We've never seen any liberals out there show any remorse or concern for all the people that were injured or have passed away because of the COVID-19 vaccine, all the people who've been abandoned duty of care, all the people who were offered medical assistance in not being here anymore instead of healthcare and support. Right? So they're going to be using this as a political tool, right? And we've already seen it. We've already seen it. Look, you don't cancel all your committee meetings unless you are trying to show a message, trying to deliver something to Canada. Like, this is a big political stunt here on the backs of this tragedy. On the backs of this tragedy, and they will probably never really come to terms or address all these concerns that I just brought up about, what's being pumped into that person's body that probably affected why they went cuckoo. But you know what's coming, right? They're going to talk about clamping down more on guns, right? Clamping down more on hate. Yeah. They will squeeze every little thing they can out of this. So let's listen to Kelsey.
Obvious that is the horrific shooting that just happened yesterday in my home province of BC is that it looks like we had a trans-identified male, or female. So here's the thing. This is what happens when we keep telling children that they're in the wrong bodies and that they're sick. And then we pump them full of hormones and wonder why they do what they do. Now, this individual, we're going to be covering on the Kelsey Sharon Perspective today because it also looks like he was involved in psychedelics. Now, the problem when you combine things like heavy pharmaceutical medications like SSRIs and other medication is they don't counteract well always with psychedelics. And by the looks of it, he was looking into things like DMT, psilocybin, and other types of psychedelics. So we're going to break this one down, but we need to stop telling children they are broken and in the wrong body. And we need to stop the cult ideology around changing our kids into something they're not. You are a boy if you were born a boy. You are a girl if you were born a girl. Whether that makes you uncomfortable or not, this is the truth. Stop messing with our children's fundamental rights to be kids, and stop messing with children's brain chemistry by pumping them full of drugs that we have no idea the long-term repercussions of. And by the looks of it, this is another one of those situations. And this is a lot of children that were taken too soon unnecessarily by somebody who was mentally ill. Stop calling it a gun person. This was a guy with a gun who decided to go into a school and shoot it. And shoot at everyone in it, apparently. Not a gun person. Not participating in this nonsense anymore. Boys are boys, girls are girls. Stop it.
Yep. That's putting a final point on it. Ah, yes. Okay, so let's get back to Parliament. Okay, now before we get into this, let's go back to my X article and we will recap what happened yesterday in question period. The leader of the opposition and the prime minister were both in the lower house yesterday, and they did their normal 6-question, no answer exchange, half in French and the other half in the official language, I mean. That's right. Canadians seem to forget there's only 2 official languages, like English and French, or French and English, depending on which way you want to say it, right? But in so many places now in Canada, we seem to be spending a lot of tax money on other languages. Now I can understand in areas where there's larger native populations and you've got signs out there in, well, like you go up north and you can see where they've adapted shorthand for Inuit because it had no written language, stuff like that. But that's fine, right? But I mean, like, why is there a driver's test for more than 2 languages in Ontario? Like, how many languages is it? 38, 52? Who cares? How many other why are we funding this? Again, that's provincial, not federal, but you know, it's the other official language. Imagine how many translators we would need if they just lost their minds like that in Parliament. Anyways, each question was mocked and unanswered and has become the unparliamentary norm for the Liberal Party. Oh yes, yeah. Very norm. Actually, let me bring up a quick little video here of what I'm talking about. Let's watch Wayne Long here. Get that up.
These Liberals keep telling Canadians that they've never had it so good. Well, not only has food inflation doubled since this Prime Minister took office, it's now twice as high in Canada as it is in the United States. It's driving over 2 million people a month to the food banks. I guess they should just move on from that. And now we learn that more and more Canadians have been forced into bankruptcy and bankruptcy proposals. In my province of British Columbia, they're up over 10% in the last year alone. When will this government stop pushing people to the brink and cut the taxes and red tape that is pushing Canadians into bankruptcy?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Squad Speaker, they want to talk about taxes. We cut taxes for 22 million Canadians.
They voted against it.
We cut the GST for first-time home buyers, the consumer carbon tax. Last week, we launched the groceries and essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of Canadians. Mr. Speaker, we're focused on affordability for Canadians. They're focused on continued obstruction.
The Honourable Member for Chilliwack Hope.
The Liberal plan isn't working. Over 2 million Canadians a month are using the food bank. The cost of groceries has skyrocketed to over $340 a week for a family of 4, and the small minority of Canadians that get that recycled rebate that he was talking about will only get $10 a week, which isn't going to keep their creditors at bay. Now bankruptcies and bankruptcy proposals are at their highest levels since the global financial crisis. So when will the Liberals finally cut taxes and red tape and stop pushing record numbers of Canadians into bankruptcy?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, from a member and his leader who supported giving the child benefit to millionaires.
That's right.
They voted against.
So them voting against it is not supporting what was happening before. And besides, those bureaucrats could have adjusted those rules separately. And let's not forget that in the budget, the Liberals introduced discounts, credits for millionaires to buy yachts and luxury items. So, look at yourself in the mirror there, Wayne. But I know you can be a little more offensive. So let's go, Wayne.
Dental program, the daycare program, housing, the list goes on and on. On this side of the House, we're going to continue to focus and deliver on affordability. That party is focused in obstruction and slogans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member.
So that's your typical Wayne Long. That party there is focused on that leader over there has never worked a day in his life. But of course, they never really answer the question. And he's always very smug about himself. If you watch him, he's got that little hand action going all the time when he's talking. He reminds me of somebody with the serious case of little man syndrome. Really. Well, let's get back to our recap of yesterday. Now, covered by questions were the weak dollar, cost of living, food inflation, EV subsidies going to U.S. manufacturers, the additional purchase of F-35 weapons platforms, that little announcement there. Oh, let's just buy an extra 14 jets to add to the 16 that we have, which we needed anyway. The ever-increasing bankruptcies that are happening across Canada. A lot more restaurants are going to close down this year. Well, aside from the fact that nobody's got any money to go out to restaurants, probably why they're closing. Cutting taxes. Yes, when are you going to cut taxes? Let's listen to Stephanie McLean, what she thinks about cutting taxes.
South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of Liberal government, food inflation is double what it was when the Prime Minister took office and double that of the United States. Food bank use has more than doubled, and now bankruptcies are up, the highest they've been since the financial crisis, clocking in at a shocking 10.6% at British Columbia. Will the government admit that its taxes and deficits are driving Canadians into the food bank and into bankruptcy, or will it just claim that everything is fine, proving that it's totally out of touch with reality?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
You know what, Mr. Speaker, I'll bite. Let's imagine what affordability would look like under the Conservatives in British Columbia. They would cut the industrial carbon tax, and you know what would happen? Nothing.
Really? Really, Stephanie? Nothing would happen, eh? If you cut the taxes, nothing will happen? You know what's the nothing that will happen? Is that our pockets will not have your hand in them for that tax, right? That means that tax will not be collected. That means that the people that are being taxed are not going to have to pay that tax. That's not nothing. That's money in their pockets. You know, that slogan you people say all the time, we're putting money in Canadians' pockets. Yeah, except the fact that you're taking the money out of people's pockets and then dribbling a little bit down to the plebes and food stamps, borrowing money to buy the food stamps, which means that you're completely fiscally like bananas, completely bananas, right? That's right. There she is. I don't understand. They understand. They're just being purposefully obtuse. So let's get back to our from yesterday. Inflationary spending, continually increasing the deficit with no end. Yeah, with no end. Like $1.3 trillion, costing us over $1 billion a month in interest debt charges. Interest debt charges, like more than $10 million per hour now. 10 million bucks per hour. So whenever they talk about, oh, we're spending money on this, we're spending money on that, well, always think of how many debt hours that is. And often you'll probably find that it's not even debt minutes, because that's how far up we are. I like this comparison that the Canadian Taxpayers Federation made, which is the equivalent of building a new hospital every month and then burning it down to the ground, and then building up another hospital and then burning that one down to the ground. Every single month is basically what we are paying in debt charges. And they're just borrowing on top of that, right? "Ah, we're putting money in Canadians' pockets." Yeah, on a credit card that apparently they don't seem to have to worry about. You know what a great law would be is that politicians go down on half pay if what they finance that year ends up into not actually meeting the budget. And they should collect no money unless the deficit is paid off. Right? And then they would just be public servants that volunteer to do a good job for Canadians. That's usually how representatives started, right? When they would go in to represent as a reeve or a counselor, or you look at all those other areas, and they would not spend that much time doing that job, and they would get a small amount of money, and it's basically just taking care of, picking up the garbage, making sure the roads are plowed. That was basically it, right? But it's expanded so much into so much BS and so many privileges that it's out of control, which is why, we're so much in debt. Aside from the fact that there's just seems to be no brains in a lot of people that went out and voted the last election by thinking that voting the same people back in that have destroyed Canada for the past 10 years would make it somehow better. No, no, not better. All right, so the Liberal created extortion problem in Canada through uncontrolled and unvetted mass migration. That keeps coming up in the Parliament question period. An announcement of giving Haiti $450 million in aid in response to a Liberal question to the health minister. Right, so that was that little. Do I have that story right there? Ottawa's $450 million question. What are we funding in Haiti? My God, how many bloody years has this been going on? I mean, Canada has been just dumping money into there with no receipts, no accountability. Nothing ever gets done. I think 30 years ago they showed we put in a fire hydrant, but really the place is a wasteland. If you looked at the island, you could see where Dominican Republic starts because everything else on the other side that's Haiti has completely been razed to the ground because people are dirt poor. They have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Canada's just pouring in $450 million to give to what NGOs that are going to pocket most of the money. If it doesn't go to the local gangsters, they're going to pocket the money. I spent 13 years of my 38-year military career in tactical helicopter aviation squadrons. And in between my tours at 427 Squadron, they went to Haiti to support an operation there. There was another technician there. I believe he's passed away, God rest his soul, but his first name was the same as my name, Jill. And he came back from that tour and he never ate chicken for the rest of his life. It was not a good tour for them. They had a lot of issues trying to get some decent food so they could operate out of their facilities. But and that's how. When was that? That would have been around 2000. Yeah. So when I got that story, it was going back to the squadron in March of 2000. And before that, even before I joined the military in 1984, we were still pouring money into that place, and nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever gets done. And of course, they can go through and describe all this stuff, but we've seen how they just throw away money willy-nilly because it's not theirs. It's a big virtue signaling exercise, is all it is. You'll see what I mean.
February 7th marked the end of the mandate of the Presidential Transitional Council in Haiti, as well as a new stage in the political transition with the transfer of power to Prime Minister Fils-Aimé. As Haitians continue to face uncertainty about their country's future and the security situation continues to deteriorate, can the Minister of Foreign Affairs tell us how Canada will continue to support the Haitian people throughout this democratic transition and security stabilization process? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, this transition is an important step toward stability in Haiti, including general elections. Canada is a global leader, and we have invested $450 million for stability in Haiti. We are working closely with the Haitian diaspora as well. We are committed to fighting for a healthier and safer future for Haitians, and I'd like to thank my colleague here in the House.
The honourable member for Kildonan.
Sorry about that. There we go. Well, why are we spending $500 million on Haiti? Well, close to $500 million, $450 million. It's not like we have a quarter of the population facing food insecurity. It's not like the people going to the food banks has doubled. I mentioned this before in a prior stream. I was putting together some old video footage and had to go back in the past, and I realized when I was doing my research that in late December of 2024, the numbers that they were announcing there at the food banks were 1 million less than the numbers they were announcing in the December of 2025. So over a period of a year with an election in between, the food numbers increased. And that mirrors exactly what happened in fascist Germany, where just the material needs of people were ignored by the government, and then replaced with ideological band-aids, right? And then you didn't get the ideological band-aid, in this case here, food stamps, unless, of course, you met a very narrow definition of being needy, which is why this whole food stamp thing didn't really help anybody except for a small group. And the rest of the people facing food insecurity and high food prices, well, sorry, sucks to be you, but then again, everyone's going to have to pay for it because it's all been added to the credit card. All been added to the credit card. Okay, so the ongoing old age security disaster keeps unfolding through typical liberal incompetence in rolling out new software, leaving over 86,000 seniors in the lurch with no checks. So I expect this again today to be brought up by the Québécois, and if not, maybe one or two conservative members like it has in the past, but this is an ongoing thing. I mean, it started off with just like 10,000. And if that was 10,000, that would have been from last year, from 2025, from the new 500,000 people, enrolling. But it turns out that, when you have an average of 500,000 people enrolling to OAS every year, that's 10,000 every year that could fall through the cracks with this system. Now, obviously, when they rolled this out, they didn't do concurrent activities. They didn't keep running the old system while paralleling with the new system to make sure there were no cracks. They didn't do that. They obviously shut the other one down and went full bore on the new one, hoping for the best on a wing and a prayer. And after all, it's just a few people. It's only their lives. It's only violating the social contract that you made with these people that live their entire lives here in this country. I'm assuming at this point here, for the ones that really should be entitled to OAS, are the ones who grow up here, who worked here long enough to actually donate to this system that we have here in Canada that should be getting these checks. But anyways, some of them are not getting it for over 9 months. And what does the government say? Oh, you have to get used to the new system. We have a new system. I was a 60-year-old. I wasn't 60 years old. That system was built in the 70s. Have you ever seen a computer from the 70s? They're going on and on. It's like making excuses. And even the public servants were saying, what the hell is going on? This is not the only department they're rolling out new software in. Right? And there's been questions about what's going on. Why are all this new software rolling out? And who the hell is developing it? Are they friends of liberals again? Are they really? Because how do you go from a $1.3 billion cost to roll out this software system and then it having to cost $5 billion more? And it still doesn't work properly. It's like the Phoenix Space System all over again. For that amount of money, for $5 billion, could you not have just hired people to, issue checks by hand for the rest of their lives, coming in, clocking in every day, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, so make their own hours. I don't care. They could do it from home. Don't give a crap. But you could actually pay people for that, and then they would have a living. They'd be contributing to the economy. But no, where's this $5 billion black hole of poor software really going into? Are we going to see receipts? Are we going to see why there was such an increased cost to deal with this stupidity? And I should know about it. I've been an automated data administrative manager before for aircraft software. I've seen several rollouts of new softwares, and I'm still in touch with people engaged in that area within the military. And that's where I'm asking, like, well, who's decided that we need to go for this new software? But I'm the SAP. Anyway, I go on and on for that, and we'll bleed into the question period. which is apparently going to start in 6 minutes. He's still doing statements by members, and it looks like Mark Carney's standing up, and he's doing a statement right now. So maybe he'll hang out for the question period. I don't know. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But we will be back there a quarter after to see if they start in 6 minutes. Let's carry on. So part 3 of the OAS saga, Old Age Security Saga, will come out this weekend because I've been tracking each of those questions and each of those answers. So part 1 was the week before, part 2 came out over the weekend, and obviously part 3 will come out this weekend because I doubt it's going to get resolved this week, especially when the ministers are saying, oh, send us the names. We'll deal with them. 86,000 names? Buddy, you don't have that kind of staff. You don't have that kind of staff to deal with that. Even if you sent 86,000 names to every MP to vet nonstop, to have their staff deal with it, to make sure that each one started getting their checks right away, you still wouldn't be able to get it done by spring. No, this is a serious problem. And those people that have not gotten their checks for 9 months, I don't know. And it sucks to be Canadian in a liberal-run government and a liberal-run economy. It really does. It's nothing but misery. Misery and incompetence. So, what do we got here? The majority of Canadians know that the Liberal government is primarily responsible for the housing disaster, right? Canadians, who is mainly responsible for high housing prices, and it comes in here as the federal government at 53% from Abacus poll from February 6th. But, some polling people are not objective at all, right? So that's why you have Polling Canada, a known far left polling site that's, getting money probably from your tax dollars to operate. They post here, sometimes it's incredible how uninformed the average voter is. Uninformed about what, buddy? You think the 53%, I think the 53% should probably be higher. Yeah, maybe that's what he means. No, that's not what he means. That's not what he means at all. He thinks that everyone who did this poll he thinks they're wrong. He thinks the government's doing a fantastic job. Oh, yes. He's very much into the accolades polling Canada is whenever the Liberals are going forward. But in fact, his polling seems to skew the Liberals high all the time. All the time, man. Now, here's Ron Butler. Oh, I love you, Ron. Please stop this nonsense, Ron says. We have been hearing federal land for housing for 11 years. Yes, we're damn tired of this foolishness. After 11 years, please develop a new BS story to tell us because you're just insulting our intelligence now. Virtually no results in major cities. And it's true. Right? We're unlocking public lands to build more homes. Wait, so you're unlocking the lands to build rental units, right? Because it's public land. It can't become private land. So you can't really purchase the land, can you? Not without an act of parliament if it's federal land. Tell you not much. I think I got more Ron. Do I have more Ron here? Oh, yes, I do. Let's listen to Ron.
The EV rebates here. Hey, what the fuck with the EV rebates here, okay? Like, this is sheer fuckery. Sheer fuckery, okay? First of all, EVs are more expensive than most other cars, okay? Like, I think a low price of an EV is like $68,000, $65,000, $72,000 in Canada. That's expensive. Now, you can buy a cheap car, like a cheap gas car, like a Honda Civic for like 30 grand. So you can have 2 for 1. You can have 2 Civics for 1 Tesla, okay? I'm not mad at electric cars. I'm fine with electric cars. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm in electric cars a lot because I use Ubers to take me places often. And the drivers say they love them. I ask, what do you think of this Tesla? Oh, I like it. It's great. I'm really happy. Okay. So it sounds like it's a great car. Good. But it's a $67,000, $72,000 car. Okay. And we're going to give a rebate for people to buy that car? When in reality, low-income people buy used cars. Yeah, they buy used cars. That's the vast majority of used cars are bought by lower-income people, okay? Like, and you could buy a Honda, the Tesla's like, well, what the fuck, 70,000? Honda Civics 30, 32, 29. Like, you can buy two for the price of one Tesla. So this rebate, up to $5,000 rebate on an EV is mainly for Teslas. It's obviously only for people who make the top 10 or 15% of incomes in this country, or Uber drivers. And the poor get fuck all nothing. And you and I, the taxpayers, we're paying for this fucking $5,000, up to $5,000, okay? That's fuckery. That doesn't make sense. Like, why are we supporting the top 15% of earners with a rebate on EVs? It's just fucking virtue signaling. It's just fuckery. It's just some way to balance the fact that it's all fucked anyway. Like, I mean, oh yeah, we're gonna have no gasoline cars we won't sell any gasoline cars by 2035 or something. Okay, 2030. They had to just run away from that fucking foolishness. So stupid. The removal of a stupid policy in order to keep, which is the mandates to get rid of all gasoline vehicles, having to abandon that because it's stupid, and then saying, well, we're going to virtue signal by giving the top 15% of earners a rebate on their Tesla. Fucked in the head. That's all you can say.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for being so refreshing. And I'm watching the floor here on the bottom left on my other screen, and Pierre Poilievre is doing his own statement. It looks like the Prime Minister had a statement in tribute to the victims, and now Pierre is doing his similar response for whatever reason. Now, of course, this is all taking place during what would be statements by members, taken over by the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister to address the nation during this difficult time. So I'm just wondering here if they're going to go into further statements of members or go into question period. We're still waiting to see. Now, again, as a reminder, let's make sure we know where we are here. They've canceled everything else today. And I still don't see question period popped up as a separate stream yet. Right. Okay, well, let's carry on with this, see what they're going to do. Like I said, I'll keep showing up until the lower house stops showing up. Ottawa plans to add 8,000 new electric vehicle charging ports in Canada. Yeah, there's a statement here by Mark Carney. What do we got here? Oh, yes, Barry Sharp. Oh, Barry had a nice write-up, so why don't we read that while we're waiting for question period to start. Barry Sharp says, I look at Mark Carney's post about adding 8,000 EV charging ports across Canada, and yet another chapter in the same failed top-down playbook that's hollowing out our country. This isn't about making life easier for drivers. It's about forcing an ideological transition that most Canadians neither asked for nor can afford. Charging an EV should never be as simple as filling your gas tank, when the reality is far more expensive, unreliable, and grid straining. Fast chargers require massive electrical upgrades, often backed by taxpayer subsidies or higher utility rates that hit families already crushed by G7 leading food inflation, soaring energy costs from carbon pricing and intermittent renewables, and a federal debt exceeding $1.3 trillion. We're taking billions funneled into infrastructure for vehicles that remain a niche choice. Sales have stalled globally as people face range anxiety, long charge times, cold weather performance drops, and the fact that most can't install home chargers due to apartment living or grid limits. Yeah, imagine buying yourself a car and then you find out that, oh yeah, sorry, grid limits, so you can't charge your car at home. That was the whole point where I got the car. Carney scrapped a hard 2026 EV sales mandate for tiered rebates up to $5,000, claiming it's to protect auto jobs amid slowing demand. But that's just rebranding the same coercion. Those rebates come from our pockets, subsidizing buyers, often higher income buyers, while ordinary working Canadians subsidize the grid strain. Mining for batteries tied to questionable supply chains, including forced labor links, and the environmental footprint of panel graveyards and rare earth extraction. Meanwhile, reliable baseload options like nuclear expansion sit stalled by the same regulatory chokehold that blocks resource projects worth hundreds of billions of dollars. This push distracts from what actually matters: negotiating reciprocal trade with our primary partner, the United States, which takes 75 to 80% of our exports under Kuzma, instead of hedging with China through slashed EV tariffs that open doors to overcapacity dumping and indirect support for Russia's war machine via Beijing's dual-use exports. We're bleeding productivity near OECD bottoms, facing exploding healthcare waits, housing unaffordability from unchecked demand and red tape, and record food bank usage. Yet Ottawa prioritizes virtue signaling green mandates over deregulation to unleash private sector housing/infrastructure, repeating burdens that devour family earnings, or auditing foreign influence risks that compromise our sovereignty. Now, the leader of the the opposition leader has just finished his. Let me see here. Are we starting it? No, now it's the a leader of the bloc who is making his statements about the tragedy today as part of the statements of members in the lower house. Here we go. Sorry. Just to get rid of the desktop talking to me. There we go. Let's finish off this article. Canadians want practical results. Lower taxes to keep more of what we earn. Streamlined approvals to build homes and unlock jobs in energy/mining/forestry. Reliable nuclear power for affordable base loads without blackouts. And policies that put national interest and merit first, not elite multilateral posturing or forced adoption of technologies that don't yet serve the majority reliably or economically. This EV charging network announcement is more propaganda than progress. It's tone deaf when families struggle to put food on the table or heat their homes. We need evidence-based reform that delivers freedom, affordability, and sovereignty, not more excuses for decline wrapped in green ribbon. Precision over propaganda, evidence over excuses. And then he signs it off. Barry E. Sharp. It's a good little post, Barry. That's why I brought it. That's why I read it. And I didn't think it would come in handy this morning, but apparently events that have happened in Canada seem to have taken over Parliament today. And the bloc leader is still making his statement about the tragedy today. So if you're wondering why question period hasn't started yet. And like I said, we see the House is sitting, but everything else has been canceled, and I don't see a separate stream set up for the question period today. Let's get back to Mario. Mario Zelaya says, Harper's administration passed the law. It was welcome from First Nations because it demanded accountability from those who managed the funds their tribes would receive. Imagine that. Accountability for taxpayer money going to First Nations, and then First Nations saying, yes, yes, we need receipts to where the money's going. Yes, give us that. Thank you, conservatives. The Liberals decided not to uphold the law. Oh. So all those tribal chiefs that didn't want that are like, whew, oh, I thought for sure they would find out how many large TV screens I have. Now, there are First Nation folks suing their own tribe and chiefs because they want to know where all their money went. Because the Liberals, as usual, are not upholding the law. You know why they do this, right? It's a non-stop fire hose of chaos that they need to create in society in order to tear down Canada completely. So they have to bring in these new laws to fix everything that they broke. But they will never say, oh, we're bringing this to fix what we broke. They're just saying, oh, we need to do it for safety. We need to do it for this. We need to do it for that. But they never admit that they're the ones who broke stuff in the first place. So there are First Nation folks suing their own tribe and chiefs because they want to know where all the money went. But that's our taxpayer money, by the way, our taxpayer money. And because of the Liberals, this is what you get. Non-compliance, an explosion of it. There's no incentive for them to file financials as required by law if they don't enforce anything. Right? It's the same thing. It's like, why are all these criminals running around rampant on the streets? You know, why were people terrorizing Jews by saying, "Oh, no," in the streets of Toronto? Because they weren't enforcing the law. Makes you wonder, what are they hiding, and why won't Carney fix this injustice to First Nations? And here's a chart. And whoa, look at that, eh? Let's bring that up. Can you bring this up? First Nations are required to publish both their financial statements and schedule of remuneration within 120 days of the fiscal year end. And what's the yellow? Non-compliant. Ooh, look at that. Now in 2015, there's only a very small ribbon here of non-compliance. All right. Exempt, self-governed, exempt subband, and what's the red here? Compliant. Wow. And late. Okay, so they were late and partial, right? But so they're all working at it. And then come the Liberals, and then no accountability. No accountability. Massive waste of taxpayers, no accountability, no receipts. We don't know where the money's gone. That should be on the headstone of the death of the Liberal Party. When and if it ever passes away from its misery that it is causing everyone. I mean, I don't know how many people can just keep living like this, saying, "Can I have another sack?" After abuse, after abuse, after abuse, after abuse. Can I have another sack? Wall Street apes. Good post. I can't believe this is real, he says. Canadian Minister Mark Miller is questioned about the new bill under the Liberal government led by Prime Minister Mark Carney that would exempt all minister from all laws, except, of course, for the criminal law, but all the other laws. It's not the first time this question has been asked. We were covering some of Mark Miller's stuff this morning on Second Breakfast. If you want to go back and look at that. I'm just looking at the lower house here. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's the leader of the NDP. The leader of the NDP, or I should say the acting leader of the NDP, will be making a statement now. So that should give us enough time to go through this Mark Miller piece. Sure, we got our sound on. Here we go. So he says, yes, you heard that correctly. Hidden in the omnibus budget implementation bill, section 208, or clause 12, amends the Red Tape Reduction Act to grant federal cabinet ministers broad discretionary powers. Ministers would be able to temporarily exempt any individual, company, organization, or entity from the application of almost any provision of any federal law or regulations made under those laws that the minister is responsible for administering or enforcing, with the sole exception of the criminal code. This is going to be very handy when they start expropriating land for their SNC Lavalin debacle that's about to start there with building a fast speed rail from where to where? They didn't say Ottawa to Montreal, did they? No, they meant Montreal to Toronto. The corridor that actually has the most travel, right? Right? I mean, did I misremember that? Let me double check that. What's the high speed rail? High speed rail project Canada. Connect Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City. Oh yeah? What's the first leg gonna be? Ottawa to Montreal? Actually, the first leg's gonna be from Ottawa. Should be the last leg. Because nothing gets built in Ottawa. It's a government town. It's a complete government town. That's why it used to be so clean. It used to be a really nice, clean city until harm reduction came along and mass migration, and now everything looks dirty everywhere. Major cities can't keep up. So ministers would be temporarily exempt from any individual. Yes, I read that. So they can exempt themselves and deem anyone they choose exempt from all laws. The only exception is the criminal code, so they can exempt themselves too. Wow, wow. Right. So you have somebody show up on your property, just like taking measurements. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm exempt from any laws. Well, you're trespassing. No, no, I'm not. What? Call this minister. He gave me full exemption status. He says you can trust them because Canadians expect us to act reasonably. Right. Like they acted reasonably by invoking martial law to crush peaceful protest. Hmm? Oh, but something had to be done. Yeah, something had to be done, which was like talk to the protesters. Stop being doofuses. Stop turning people into second-class citizens. Start using some common sense. And now here we are, and the government is still promising to use violence again because they haven't decided whether or not they're still going to appeal that judgment that found them guilty of illegally using that. So, of course, they've been found to illegally use that. Proof is in the pudding. Can we trust them? No. Or as Ron would say, fuck no. So, in Canada, medical assistance in not being here anymore for children has been decided. Recommendations. Number 14, talk to children about offing them off. Imagine that, having a conversation with a child. Is that how grotesque, how monstrous can that be? I mean, I can't even don't want to think about it. I mean, here we are, we got statements going on in the lower house right now about this tragedy that happened. Who knows how many children got killed because of that tragedy. And here on the other hand, here we are talking about offing children through our death care system that they like to call healthcare. See, Fund Health Canada to talk to children about offing them. Oh, number 15. What a nice recommendation. It's getting rather dark. Are we going to have the Green leader make a statement now too? I mean, everyone should make a statement. We had Liberals, Bloc. Yeah. Our Green Party leader is now making her statement. So number 16, amend criminal code to be able to unalive children. Number 17, start by unaliving the very sick children. And number 19, parents have no say with the unaliving of their children. Number 20, get this done within 5 years. And this is all in this medical assistance in dying and in Canada, Choices for Canadians, a report of the Special Joint Committee on Medical Assistance in Dying. So I have not read this report. This is what Delta Hospice Society is saying is in this report. And Kelsey here, who's again, a subject matter expert on this. He goes, yep, and this also includes sick kids. Oh my God. Well, let's see what the problem is. Okay, Quebec disables health. All right. Canada is the sick man of NATO. Canada is so sick. We are so sick. We've just lost complete sense of reality when it comes to dealing with common sense. Just completely. Now, we were about halfway into this interview yesterday when the lower house sat, but they pretty well said everything that they need to say in that. And let's move on to the next story. All right, so Green Leader is still talking in the lower house, making her statement on the tragedy today. But I'm starting to think, I don't know if there's going to be a session today in Parliament. Because again, everything's been canceled except for the lower house sitting. It still shows it going till 7 p.m. But I don't see a second stream set up for the question period, which should have started by now. Even usually a couple of minutes late, it would start about 15 minutes ago. Okay, let's get back to this other story. So, Canada's sitting on a powder keg with over 1 million people currently living here on expired visas and 4 million more permits set to expire by year end. 4 million more. Holy crap. I thought it was 3 million more for a total of 4 million. I didn't realize it was 5 million total. 5 million. 5 million people being in Canada with expired visas and permits by the end of the year. How did we get here? The Liberals brought us here. They did that to us. And the government's plan for enforcement is nada, nothing. All right, let's go back here. Green Party finished their statement. What's going on here? What's he saying?
For your beautiful expressions of support and love for the community of Tumbler Ridge. Today, in this house, we are united in our shock, in our sorrow, and in our thoughts for the people of Tumbler Ridge and the families and friends of who were impacted by this tragic violence.
Speak on behalf of all Canadians. We struggle to find the right words because there are none. Nothing we say here today can change the events.
As members of Parliament, we understand what community means. With our own eyes, we have seen how powerful communities can be in the face of tragedy. And today,
the events of yesterday. We can only hope that our words will, in some small way, lessen the burden of sorrow of those who have lost their loved ones. Leur vie ainsi que celle
their lives and the lives of all those in Tumbler Ridge have been changed forever. As members of Parliament, we understand what community means. And today, as your words have expressed, Canada is united into one community in support of the people of Tumbler Ridge.
the bravery of the first responders who answered the call. Days to come. Hearts and
condolence book, which condolences will remain until Tuesday, February 17th, which is also the last day when flags will be flown at half-mast. It will then be brought to the community by the member for Prince George Peace River, Northern Rockies.
Today, as we leave the chamber today, let us commit to compassion for all those affected by the tragedy, to fellowship with all those whose hearts ache, and to support the families, friends, and community that suffer in this dark moment. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
So that's starting to sound to me like they're going to quit early here. As we leave the chamber today. That's what he was saying. Oh, what's going on here? Keeps rewinding.
It being 2:36, pursuant to order made earlier today, this House stands adjourned until tomorrow at 10 a.m., pursuant to Standing Order 24-1.
Call that. Send out a X post earlier this morning. As soon as I saw all the cancellations pop up on their parliamentary website, and our Parliament is shut down for the day. Yeah, no business today. Are they going to do this every time there's a tragedy now? I understand it was grievous, but there's been tons of other people killed in Canada by this government, and we've never received this kind of exposure. Well, I guess we'll be back tomorrow. We could go through this video here, but let's just shut her down. I guess we've been on for an hour and 38 minutes. I guess without covering the lower house because they have not showed up, and that's in my contract for doing this show. We will keep showing up until the government decides to stop showing up, and they just decided to stop showing up until tomorrow. So we will see you tomorrow at the same bat time, same bat place. And we will go out with today's intro that we will just reuse tomorrow, I guess. No, you know what? I'll reuse the intro tomorrow for the intro, and on our way out, how about we just listen to the words of, where are you? We got too many things open up. Let's listen to some Gun Grab Gary on the way out. Let's do that. Let's not forget who these liberals are.
Believing the Liberals are helping Canadians is as ridiculous as believing the budget will balance itself.
Simple answer, move on, man, move on, you know. That's, honestly.
Over 2 million people a month to the food banks.
Class in session. Yeah. Class in session. Somebody get these dudes a handbook, man. Oh, yo. Gun grab Gary got a press crew. Zero facts talking about bandits, bandad, flipping all the stack. You don't know our pal from a cereal pack. Think pal is a buddy that just has your back. You confuse ATT with an SUV. Say assault style scary on the CBC. You see a lock safe, you call that a crime scene. I see test background checks daily, RCMP screen. Alberta said hard pass, sent it in ink. Saskatchewan too told you what they really think. You planned a big grab, thought we'd all just blink. Now province is bailing like that registry stink. You brag we're coming to collect, talking real bold. Till you learn it's licensed folks that you trying to scold. It's grandpa's duck gun, 5 rounds plug load. Not the criminals, the justice system already knows. Gun grab Gary, you don't know the code. Can't spell lawfare, but you run your show. Confiscation, Carney lost on the road. Talk big on screens, never read the law though. CCFR, yeah, they speak our peace. Voice for the folks that just want some peace. From range to field, we comply and repeat. You chase headlines, they deal with receipts. Confiscation, Carney on a town hall stage. PowerPoint charts, fear in the cage. Point to a picture, this looks like war. That's a target rifle champ with a match grade core. You love that photo op vest, wanna look real tough. But you flinch every time the flash go puff. You say just turn them in, it's a simple task. Then choke when the bill hits, do the budget math. Toronto police look sideways like who pays? OPP read the memo trying to dodge that maze. You pass the blame around 9 whole ways, but the street crews laugh, still set they plays. You chase guys who book lanes, sign a waiver sheet, check locks twice, sweep brass, keep the benches neat. Meanwhile, no plan for the ones who cheat. Just one more press hit, then you hit repeat. Gun grab Gary, you don't know the code. Can't say Ruger, but you run your show. Confiscation, Carney lost on the road. Talk big on screens, never read the law though. CCFR, yeah, they speak our peace. Voice for the folks that just want some peace. From range to field, we comply and repeat. You chase headlines, they deal with receipts. You banned by brochure, legislate by mean. We study every clause just to keep it clean. You chase the law abiding, frame them on the screen. But facts don't bend just to match your scheme. Gun grab Gary, you don't know the code. Can't spell or pale, but you run your show. Confiscation, Carney lost on the road. Talk big on screens, never read the law though. CCFR, yeah, they speak our peace. Voice for the folks that just want some peace. From range to field, we comply and repeat. You chase headlines, they deal with receipts.